Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Welcome to today's reading from Sri Caitanya Charitamrita, Adi Lila, chapter 17, verse 272. We shall be starting our reading. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langhayate girim yat kripa tam ham vande Shri Gurum Dinatarinam Paramanand Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Hari Om Tat Sat. Eta bali Bharati Gosani Kato yate gela Mahāprabhu taha yai sanyas karila. After saying this, Keshav Bharati, the spiritual master, went back to his village Katwa. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went there and accepted the renounced order of life, which is sannyas. Purport: at the end of his 24th year, at the end of the fortnight of the waxing moon, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu left Navadvip and crossed the river Ganges at a place known as Nirayara Ghat. Then he reached Kantaka Nagar or Katoya, which is Katwa, where he accepted Ekadanda sannyas according to the Shankarite system. Sorry, I was just confusing it with Sankirtan or something else. It's Shankarite system. Since Keshav Bharati belonged to the Shankarite sect, he could not initiate Chaitanya Mahaprabhu into the Vaishnava sannyas order, whose members carry the three danda. Chandrasekhar Acharya assisted in the routine ceremonial work of the Lord's acceptance of sannyas by the order of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Kirtan was performed for the entire day, and at the end of the day, the Lord shaved off his hair. On the next day, he became a regular sannyasi with one rod, which is Ekdanda. From that day on, his name was Sri Krishna Chaitanya. Before that, he was known as Nimai Pandit. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the sannyas order travelled all over Radhadesh, the region where the Ganges river cannot be seen. Keshav Bharati accompanied him for some distance. Verse 273. Sangya Nityananda Chandrasekhara Acharya Mukunda Datta Tina Kaila Sarva Karya. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted sannyas, three personalities were with him to perform all the necessary activities. They were Nityananda Prabhu, Chandrasekhar Acharya, and Mukunda Datta. Verse 274. Ai Adi Lilar Kaila Sutra Ganana Vistari Varnila Iha Das Vrindavana. The Sahib summarized the incidents of the Adi Lila. Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur has described them elaborately in his Chaitanya Bhagavat. Verse 275. Yashoda Nandan Haila Shachira Nandan Chatur Vidha Bhakt Bhav Kare Aswadan. The same Supreme Personality of Godhead who appeared as the son of Mother Yashoda has now appeared as the son of Mother Shachi, relishing four kinds of devotional activities. Purport: servitude, friendship, parental affection, and conjugal love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead are the basis of the four kinds of devotional activities. In Shanta, the marginal stage of devotional service, there is no activity, but above the Shanta humor are servitude, friendship, parental affection, and conjugal love, which represent the gradual growth of devotional service to higher and higher platforms. Verse 276. Swamadhurya Radha Prema Rasa Aswadite Radha Bhava Angi Kari Yache Bhal Mate. To taste the mellows of Srimati Radharani's loving affairs in her relationship with Krishna and to understand the reservoir of pleasure in Krishna, Krishna himself, as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, accepted the mood of Radharani. Purport: in this connection, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur writes in his Anubhashya, Sri Gaura Sundar in Krishna is himself with the attitude of Srimati Radharani. I repeat, in this connection, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur writes in his Anubhashya, Sri Gaura Sundar is Krishna himself with the attitude of Srimati Radharani. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu never gave up the attitude of the gopis. He remained everlastingly predominated by Krishna and never accepted the part of the predominator by imitating conjugal love with an ordinary woman as Sahajiyas generally do. He never placed himself in the position of a debauchee. Lusty materialists like the members of the Sahajiya Sampradaya hanker after women, even others' wives. But when they try to ascribe the responsibility for their lusty activities to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they become offenders to Swarup Damodar and Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur. In Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat, Adikhand chapter 15, it is said, Sabe para strira prati nahi parihas stri dekhi dure Prabhu hayana eka pash. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu never even joked with others' wives. As soon as he saw a woman coming, he would immediately give her ample room to pass without talking. He was extremely strict regarding the association of women. The Sahajiyas, however, pose as followers of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Although they indulged in lusty affairs with women in his youth, Lord Chaitanya was very humorous with everyone, but he never joked with any woman, nor in this incarnation did he talk about women. The Gauranga Nagari party is not approved by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu or Vrindavan Das Thakur, even though one may offer all kinds of praise to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. One should strictly avoid worshipping him as the Gauranga Nagara. The personal behavior of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the verses written by Sri Vrindavan Das Thakur have completely repudiated the lusty desires of the Gauranga Nagaris. Moving on to verse 277. Gopi bhav yate prabhu dhariyache ekanta vrajendra nandane mane apnar kanta. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted the mood of the gopis who accepted Vrajendra Nandan Sri Krishna as their lover. Verse 278. Gopika bhavera esh sudrida nishchaya Vrajendra Nandan vina anyatra nahaya. It is firmly concluded that the ecstatic mood of the gopis is possible only before Krishna and no one else. Verse 279. Shyama Sundar Shikipicha Gunja Vibhushana Gopa Vesha Tribhangima Murali Badana. He has a bluish complexion, a peacock feather on his head, a gunja garland, and the decorations of a cowherd boy. His body is curved in 3 places, and he holds a flute to his mouth. Verse 280. Iha chhadi Krishna yadi haya anyakar Gopikar bhava nahi yai nikat tahar. If Lord Krishna gives up this original form and assumes another Vishnu form, nearness to him cannot invoke the ecstatic mood of the gopis. Verse 281. Gopinam Pashupendra Nandana Jusho Bhavasya Kastam Kriti Vigyantum Kshamate Druha Padavi Sancharinah Prakriyam Avish Kurvati Vaishnavim Apitanum Tasmin Bhujair Jishnubhir Yasam Hanta Chaturbhir Adbhut Ruchim Ragodaya Kunchati. Once Lord Sri Krishna playfully manifested himself as Narayan with 4 victorious hands and a very beautiful form. When the gopis saw this exalted form, however, their ecstatic feelings were crippled. Even a learned scholar therefore cannot understand the gopis' ecstatic feelings, which are firmly fixed upon the original form of Lord Krishna as the son of Nanda Maharaj. The wonderful feelings of the gopis in ecstatic paramras with Krishna constitute the greatest mystery in spiritual life. Purport. This is a quotation from Lalita Madhav 6.54 by Srila Rupa Goswami. Verse 282. Basanta Kale Rasa Lila Kare Govardhane Antardhan Kaila Sanket Kari Radha Sane. During the season of springtime, when the Rasa dance was going on, suddenly Krishna disappeared from the scene, indicating that he wanted to be alone with Srimati Radharani. 283 verse. Nibrita Nikunje Vasi Dekhe Radhar Bata Anveshite Aila Tahan Gopikar Thata. Krishna was sitting in a solitary bush waiting for Srimati Radharani to pass by, but while he was searching, the gopis arrived there like a phalanx of soldiers. Verse 284. Dura haite Krishna dekhi bale gopi gana, ei dekha kunjera bhitar Rajendra Nandana. Just see, the gopi said. Gopis said, seeing Krishna from a distant place. Here within a bush is Krishna, the son of Nanda Maharaj. Verse number 285. Gopi gana dekhi Krishnera hailas sadhavasa lukaite narila bhaye haila vibasha. As soon as Krishna saw all the gopis, he was struck with emotion, thus he could not hide himself, and out of fear he became motionless. Verse 286. Chaturbhuja murti dhari achena vasiya Krishna dekhi gopi kahe nikate asiya. Krishna assumed his four-armed Narayan form and sat there. When all the gopis came, they looked at him and spoke as follows. Verse 287. Ihon Krishna nahe ihon Narayan murti eta bali tanre sabhe kare nati stuti. He is not Krishna, he is the Supreme Personality of God and Narayan. After saying this, they offered obeisances and the following respectful prayers. Verse 288. Namo Narayan Deva Karha Prasad Krishna Sangha Deha Mora Ghuchaha, or is it Ghukaha Vishad? Ghukaha means please diminish. Vishad, as we know, is lamentation, same as Sanskrit and Hindi. O Lord Narayan, we offer our respectful obeisances unto you. Kindly be merciful to us. Give us the association of Krishna and the Spankweshwara. Lamentation. Purport: the gopis were not made happy even by seeing the four-armed form of Narayan, yet they offered their respects to the Supreme Personality of Godhead and begged from him the benediction of achieving the association of Krishna. Such is the ecstatic feeling of the gopis. Verse 289. Eta bali namaskari gela gopi gana hena kale radha asi lila darshana. After saying this and offering obeisances, all the gopis dispersed. Then Srimati Radharani came and appeared before Lord Krishna. Verse 290. Radha dekhi Krishna tanre hasya karite se chatur bhuja murti kahena rakhite. When Lord Krishna saw Radharani, he wanted to maintain the four-armed form to joke with her. Verse 291. Lukaila dui bhuja radhar agrete bahu yatna kaila Krishna narila rakhite. In the front of Srimati Radharani, Shri Krishna had to hide the two extra arms. He tried his best to keep four arms before her, but he was completely unable to do so. Verse 292. Radhar Vishuddha Bhavera Achintya Prabhava Ye Krishnere Karaila Dvibhuja Swabhav. The influence of Radharani's pure ecstasy is so inconceivably great that it forced Krishna to come to his original two-armed form. Verse 293. Rasarambha vidhau niliya vasata kunje mrigakshi ganair drishtam gopaitum swam udhur dhiya ya sushtu sandarshita adhayah pranayasya hanta mahima yasya shriya rakshitum sa shakya prabhava vishnuapi harina nasij chatur bahuta. Prior to the Rasa dance, Lord Krishna hid himself in a grove just to have fun. When the gopis came, their eyes resembling those of deer, by his sharp intelligence he exhibited his beautiful four-armed form to hide himself. But when Srimati Radharani came there, Krishna could not maintain his forearms in her presence. This is the wonderful glory of her love. Purport: this is a quotation from Ujjwal Nilamani Naika Bheda 7 by Srila Rupa Goswami. Verse number 294. Sai Vrajeshwara Ihan Jagannath Pita Sai Vrajeshwari Ihan Shachi Devi Mata. Badanand, the king of Rajabhumi, is now Jagannath Mishra. The father of Chaitanya Mahāprabhu and Yashoda, the queen of Rajbhumi, is now Shachi Devi, Lord Chaitanya's mother. Verse 295. Say Nanda Sutta Ihan Chaitanya Gosani, Sai Baldev Ihan Nityananda Bhai. The former son of Nanda Maharaj is now Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and the former Baladev, Krishna's brother, is now Nityananda Prabhu, the brother of Lord Chaitanya. Verse 296. Vatsalya Dasya Sakya Tina Bhavamay Se Nityananda Krishna Chaitanya Sahai. Sri Nityananda Prabhu always feels the ecstatic emotions of paternity, servitude, and friendship. He always assists Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in that way. Verse number 297. Prema Bhakti Diya Tenho Bhasala Jagate Tanra Charitra Loke Na Pare Pare Bujite. Sri Nityananda Prabhu overflooded the entire world by distributing transcendental loving service. No one can understand his character and activities. Verse 298. Advaitacharya Gosani Bhakta Avatar Krishna Avatariya Kaila Bhaktira Prachar. Srila Advaitacharya Prabhu appeared as an incarnation of a devotee. He is in the category of Krishna, but he descended to this earth to propagate devotional service. And as we know, if you have seen the Vaishnava calendars, in 2023, Advaita Acharya's appearance day is on the 27th of January, which is almost 2 weeks away. Verse 299. Sakya Dasya Dui Bhava Sahaja Tanhar Kabhu Prabhu Karena Tanre Guru Vyavhar. His natural emotions were always on the platform of fraternity and servitude, but the Lord sometimes treated him as his spiritual master. Verse 300. Shivasadi Yata Mahaprabhura Bhakta Gana Nija Nija Bhave Karena Chaitanya Sevana. All the devotees of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, headed by Srivas Thakur, have their own emotional humors in which they render service unto him. Verse number 301. Pandit Gosani Adi Yanra Yerasa Saise Rase Prabhu Hana Tanra Vasha. Personal associates like Gadadhar, Swarup Damodar, Ramananda Rai, and the 6 Goswamis, headed by Rupa Goswami, are all situated in their respective transcendental humors. Thus, the Lord submits to various positions in various transcendental mellows. Purport. In verses 296 through 301, the emotional, devoted service of Sri Nityananda, Sri Advaita Prabhu, and others has been fully described. Describing such individual service, the Gaura Ganodesha Deepika 11-16 declares that although Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared as a devotee, he is none other than the son of Nanda Maharaj. Similarly, although Sri Nityananda Prabhu appeared as Lord Chaitanya's assistant, he is none other than Baladev, the carrier of the plough. Advaitacharya is the incarnation of Sadashiv from the spiritual world. All the devotees headed by Srivas Thakur are his marginal energy, whereas the devotees headed by Gadadhar Pandit are manifestations of his internal potency. So Srivas Thakur is Narad Muni and Gadadhar Pandit is Radharani herself. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Advaita Prabhu, and Nityananda Prabhu all belong to the Vishnu Tattva category. Because Lord Chaitanya is an ocean of mercy, he is addressed as Mahaprabhu, whereas Nityananda and Advaita, being 2 great personalities who assist Lord Chaitanya, are addressed as Prabhu. Thus, there are 2 Prabhus and 1 Mahaprabhu. Gadadhar Goswami is a representative of a perfect Brahman spiritual master. Srivas Thakur represents a perfect Brahman devotee. These 5 are known as the Pancha Tattva. So Gadadhar Goswami is the perfect Brahman, which is a spiritual master, is the representative of the spiritual master, and Srivas Thakur represents a perfect Brahman devotee. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Ocean of Mercy, so is Mahaprabhu, and Nityananda and Advaita are the 2 great personalities who assist Lord Chaitanya, so they are addressed as Prabhu. So these together, known as Panchatattva, the 5 associates in the Chaitanya Lila. 4 associates and of course 5th Mahaprabhu himself. These all together constitute the Pancha Tattva. Verse 302. Tihan Shyama Vamshi Mukha Gopa Vilasi Ihan Gora Kabhu Dvija Kabhu Ta Sannyasi. In Krishna Lila, the Lord's complexion is blackish, holding a flute to his mouth. He enjoys as a cowherd boy. Now the self-same person has appeared with a fair complexion, sometimes acting as a Brahman and sometimes accepting the renounced order of life. Verse 303. अतएव आपने प्रभु गोपी भाव धरी व्रजेंद्र नंदने कहे प्राणनाथ करी. Therefore the Lord himself, accepting the emotional ecstasy of the gopis, now addresses the son of Nanda Maharaj, O master of my life, O my dear husband. Verse 304. Sai Krishna Sai Gopi Parama Virodha Achintya Charitra Prabhura Ati Sudur Bodha. He is Krishna, yet he has accepted the mood of the gopis. How is it so? It is the unconceivable character of the Lord which is very difficult to understand. Purport. Krishna's accepting the part of the gopis is certainly contradictory according to any mundane calculations, but the Lord by his inconceivable character may act like the gopis and feel separation from Krishna. Although he is Krishna himself, such a contradiction can be reconciled only in the Supreme Personality of Godhead, because he has energy that is inconceivable, which is achintya, which can make possible that which is impossible to do. Aghata ghatana patiyasi. That patiyasi, such contradictions are very difficult to understand unless a devotee strictly follows the Vaishnava philosophy under the directions of the Goswami. Therefore, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami ends every chapter with this. Shri Rupa Raghunath Pade Yara Asha Chaitanya Charitamrit Kahe Krishna Das, praying at the lotus feet of Shri Rupa and Shri Raghunath, always desiring the mercy. I, Krishna Das, narrate Shri Chaitanya Charitamrit, following in their footsteps. In a song by Narottam Das Thakur, it is stated, Rupa Raghunath Pade Haibe Akuti Kabe Ham Bhujabha Se Yugala Piriti. The conjugal love between Radha and Krishna, which is called Yugala Piriti, is not understandable by mundane scholars, artists or poets. It is simply to be understood by devotees who strictly follow in the footsteps of the 6 Goswamis. Sometimes so-called artists and poets try to understand the love affairs of Radha and Krishna, and they publish cheap books of poetry and pictures on the subject. Unfortunately, however, they do not understand the transcendental affairs of Radha and Krishna, even to the smallest degree. They are simply meddling in the matter in which they are not fit even to enter. Verse 305. Ithe tarka kari keha na kara samshay Krishnera achintya shakti e mata haya. One cannot understand the contradictions in Lord Chaitanya's character by putting forward mundane logic and arguments. Consequently, one should not maintain doubts in this connection. One should simply try to understand the inconceivable energy of Krishna. Otherwise, one cannot understand how much contradictions are possible. Verse 306. Achintya Adbhut Krishna Chaitanya Vihar Chitra Bhava Chitra Guna Chitra Vyavhar. The pastimes of Shri Krishna Chaitanya Mahāprabhu are inconceivable and wonderful. His ecstasy is wonderful. His qualities are wonderful and his behavior is wonderful. Verse 307. Tarke iha nahi mane ye durachar kumbhi pake pase tar nahika nistar. If one simply adheres to mundane arguments and therefore does not accept this, he will boil in the hell of Kumbhipak. For him there is no deliverance. Purport. Kumbhipak is a type of hellish condition. It is described in Srimad Bhagavatam, 5th canto, 26th chapter, 13th verse, wherein it is said that a person who cooks living birds and beasts to satisfy his tongue is brought before Yamaraj after death and punished in the Kumbhipak hell. There he is put into boiling oil called Kumbhipak, from which there is no deliverance. Kumbhipak is meant for persons who are unnecessarily envious, Those who are envious of the activities of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are punished in that hellish condition. Verse 308. Achintya khalu ye bhava natam starakena yojayet prakriti param yacha tad achintyasya lakshanam. Anything transcendental to material nature is called inconceivable, whereas arguments are all mundane. Since mundane arguments cannot touch transcendental subject matters, one should not try to understand transcendental subjects through mundane arguments. Purport: this verse from Mahabharata, which is from the Bhishma Parv 5.22, is also quoted in Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu, which is Nectar of Devotion 2.5.93 by Srila Rupa Goswami. Verse 309. Adbhut Chaitanya Lilaya Yahar Vishwas Sejana Yaya Chaitanyera Pada Pash. Only a person who has firm faith in the wonderful pastimes of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu can approach his lotus feet. Verse 310. Prasange kahila e siddhantera sar iha yeshune shuddha bhakti haya tar. In this discourse I have explained the essence of the devotional conclusion. Anyone who hears this develops unalloyed devotional service to the Lord. Verse 311. Likhita granthera yadi kari anuvad tabe se granthera artha paiye aswad. If I repeat what is already written, I may thus relish the purport of this scripture. Verse 312. Dekhi granthe bhagvate vyaser achar katha kahi anuvad kare var var. We can see in the scripture Srimad Bhagavatam the conduct of its author Sri Vyasadeva. After speaking the narration, he repeats it again and again. At the end of Srimad Bhagavatam in the 12th canto, the 12th chapter contains 43 verses in which Sri Krishna Dvaipayana Vedavyasa recapitulates Srimad Bhagavatam's entire subject matter. Sri Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami wants to follow in the footsteps of Sri Vyasadeva by recapitulating the 17 chapters of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita's Adi Lila. So the parallels have been shown, how Vyasadeva at the end of the 12th canto, 12th chapter, which contains only 43 verses, in which Vyasadeva he recapitulates the entire subject matter of Srimad Bhagavatam. Similarly, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, he wants to follow in the footsteps of Vyasadeva, and he is doing the same by recapitulating the 17 chapters of Shiv Chaitanya Charitamrita's Adi Lila. And at the moment, I can't think of any easier word to describe, how to say recapitulating. I should say repeating, yeah, as it's said in the translation. So verse number 313. Tate Adi Lilar Kari Paricheda Ganana Prathama Parichede Kailun Mangala Charana. Therefore, I shall enumerate the chapters of the Adi Lila. In the first chapter, I offer obeisances to the spiritual master, for this is the beginning of auspicious writing. Verse 314. Dvitya Parichede Chaitanya Tattva Nirupana Swayam Bhagwan Ye Vrajendra Nandana. The second chapter explains the truth of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna, the son of Maharaj Nand. Verse 315. Tenhota Chaitanya Krishna Shachira Nandana Tritya Parichede Janmeras Samanya Karana. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is Krishna himself, has now appeared as the son of Mother Shachi. The third chapter describes the general cause of his appearance. I think we will continue from here next time, because we have to just repeat about all the 17 chapters. So I will start them again, beginning from chapter 1, which is the verse 314 again. So thank you for joining. Wish you all a beautiful weekend. Half of it is already gone, so stay in Krishna consciousness. Stay with Lord wherever you are. Hariyam Tat Sat. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami ki jai.